The sudden attack. The morning had started like any other. The sun was rising over Earth, casting a warm golden glow across the planet. People were waking up, going to work, sending their kids off to school, and going about their daily routines. There was no hint of the horror that was about to unfold. But everything changed in an instant. No one saw it coming, not even the most advanced defense systems on Earth. A massive alien fleet appeared in the sky, breaking through the atmosphere at an unimaginable speed. The first signs of danger were small flashes in the sky, like distant stars. But within seconds, the full scale of the attack became clear. There was no time to prepare, no time to react. In a matter of minutes, Earth went from peace to chaos. The alien ships, sleek and deadly, began firing on major cities. Lasers shot down from above, crashing into buildings, causing explosions that rocked the ground. Buildings crumbled, and the sky darkened as smoke and ash filled the air. People screamed in panic, running through the streets in every direction, trying to escape the devastation. But it was no use. The attack was swift, precise, and merciless. The military forces on Earth had prepared for many threats, but nothing could have prepared them for this. As the alien ships continued to rain destruction down upon the planet, Earth's defense systems fired back, but their weapons were no match for the advanced technology of the invaders. The missiles that shot up into the sky exploded uselessly in midair, falling like fireworks. The ground-based artillery made no impact. The aliens were far more powerful than anyone could have imagined. In New York, a massive explosion shattered the city's skyline, sending glass and debris flying through the air. In London, buildings collapsed in seconds, sending entire neighborhoods into ruin. In Beijing, the streets were filled with people trying to flee, but the alien ships pursued them relentlessly, firing down on anyone in their path. Chaos spread everywhere. No one knew what to do or where to go. Governments scrambled to organize a response, but it was already too late. The invaders had done their damage and were now preparing for their next move. Earth's defenses were utterly useless against them. In a quiet corner of the world, a small group of scientists gathered in a bunker, watching the destruction unfold on their monitors. They had been tracking the incoming ships for days, but had dismissed the idea of an attack. There had been no sign, no warning. The first detection of the fleet had come only hours before it appeared in the sky, but by then, it was already too late. How did they get here so fast? One of the scientists asked, his voice trembling. Our systems should have detected them much earlier. Another scientist looked at the data, her face pale. They must have used some sort of cloaking technology. We couldn't detect them until they were already here. The room fell silent as the reality of the situation sank in. No one had ever seen technology like this before. The ships that had attacked Earth were beyond anything humanity had ever imagined. There was no way to fight back with the resources they had. As the minutes ticked by, the invaders showed no sign of stopping. Their ships moved in perfect formation, and their weapons continued to destroy anything that stood in their way. The cities were being wiped out one by one. People tried to flee into the countryside, but even there, they were met with the same destruction. There was no safe place left. In the chaos, one thing became clear: Earth was unprepared for this attack. The Earth's military leaders and government officials knew that the damage could not be undone. There was no negotiating with these invaders. They had come with a purpose, and they had already shown that they would stop at nothing to achieve it. The world's leaders called for unity. They called for immediate action. But the truth was, no one knew what to do. The alien forces were too strong, and the military forces on Earth were too scattered to mount any kind of organized defense. It felt like there was no hope. Back in the bunker, the scientists worked desperately to find a solution. They pored over data, trying to understand the alien ship's weaknesses, trying to find something, anything, that could help turn the tide. But there was nothing. All their knowledge, all their technology, was useless against the invaders. As the day wore on, The alien ships continued their relentless assault. They didn't seem to care about the damage they caused or the people they killed. They were here to complete their mission, and they would not stop until it was done. Earth's major cities had already been decimated. There was no time left for anything other than survival. But even in the darkest moments of the attack, a few humans refused to give up. In the midst of the chaos, small groups of resistance fighters emerged. They were not soldiers, not trained in combat, but they knew one thing: they could not allow their world to be destroyed without a fight. They began organizing, gathering what little resources they could find, and preparing to fight back. They knew it would be a long shot, but they also knew something important. Humanity was not ready to die without a fight. They had survived countless challenges before, and they would survive this one too. But first, they had to find a way to fight back. In the quiet aftermath of the attack, as the world lay in ruins, one question remained: could humanity ever strike back against such overwhelming force? Would they ever recover from this attack, or had the Earth already lost? The next few days would decide the fate of the planet. The invaders had shown no mercy. Now, humanity had to find the strength to rise again. Would they have enough time to regroup? Could they turn the tide and show the invaders that they had made a mistake in attacking Earth? Only time would tell. The world was broken. Earth had been attacked, and the once thriving cities lay in ruins. The sky above was a darkened mess of smoke and dust, and the cries of the wounded filled the streets. It was hard to imagine that just days ago, Earth had been at peace. Now, everything had changed. The alien invaders had struck with overwhelming force, and Earth's military had crumbled under their power. But in the midst of the devastation, a spark of defiance began to emerge. Amidst the chaos, small groups of survivors came together, refusing to bow down to the invaders. These were ordinary people, civilians, scientists, soldiers who had survived the attack. They came from all walks of life, but they had one thing in common: they would not let Earth be defeated without a fight. It started in the shadows. Huddled in underground bunkers, scattered military bases, and ruined buildings, the resistance began to form. People who had lost everything were beginning to regroup. The survivors knew they couldn't take on the alien fleet head-on. Not yet. The alien ships were too powerful, and the Earth's military had been decimated. But they had something the invaders did not: unity, determination, and an unyielding desire to protect their world. Some of the survivors had experience with warfare. They had once been part of Earth's armed forces, while others were civilians who had never touched a weapon in their lives. But they all shared the same belief: if they worked together, they could find a way to strike back. In a hidden underground bunker, General Carter, one of the few military leaders left, sat at a table surrounded by maps and data feeds. His face was grim, and his eyes were tired from the endless hours of planning. The invasion had shattered their defenses, but he wasn't ready to give up. He knew the aliens might have the technology, but humanity had something far more valuable: ingenuity. "We've got one shot at this," General Carter muttered, tapping the map with his finger. "If we don't act fast, they'll finish what they started. We need to hit them hard, and we need to hit them fast." His team nodded in agreement. They had already identified several potential weak points in the alien fleet's formation. They had intercepted alien communications that suggested the invaders were spread thin. This could be their chance to strike back, but they had no time to waste. The alien ships were still in orbit, watching the planet, and they wouldn't hesitate to attack again if given the chance. As the general and his team formulated their plan, across the world, in cities that still had survivors, groups of resistance fighters were preparing. In New York, a group of engineers and technicians were working frantically to get Earth's last remaining defenses online. They had salvaged what they could from the wreckage of the attack, and they had a plan to use the alien technology against them. It wasn't perfect, but it was all they had. "We can't just sit here and wait to die," one of the engineers said, his hand shaking as he worked on an alien device. We need to figure out how to turn their weapons against them. In the ruins of London, a group of civilians had begun assembling homemade weapons and armor. They weren't soldiers, but they had fought for their lives since the attack. Now they were ready to fight back. They set up makeshift camps in the underground tunnels beneath the city, preparing for the next move. "We may not have the firepower they do, but we've got the will to fight," said one of the civilians, holding up a crudely made gun. "If they come back, we'll make them regret it." Across the globe, the resistance was growing. People who had never met each other were coming together, united by a single goal: survival. But survival alone wasn't enough. Humanity didn't just want to survive. They wanted to take back their world. They wanted revenge. While Earth's defenders worked tirelessly to prepare, a small, secret group of scientists had been working on something that could change everything. Deep in a hidden facility, Dr. Elena Turner, one of the world's leading experts in extraterrestrial technology, was studying the remnants of the alien attack. She had been one of the few scientists to survive the initial bombardment, and she knew that the only way to win would be to understand the enemy. "We're not going to beat them with brute force alone," she told her team. "We need to know how their technology works. We need to exploit their weaknesses." She was right. The aliens had superior technology, but they were not invincible. Dr. Turner and her team spent every waking moment examining alien weapons, ships, and any information they could find. Slowly but surely, they began to unravel the mysteries of the alien technology. They discovered flaws in their systems, weaknesses that, if exploited, could turn the tide of the war. But the clock was ticking. General Carter knew that the aliens wouldn't stay dormant forever. They were calculating, waiting for the right moment to strike again. It was only a matter of time before they made their next move. If humanity couldn't act fast enough, they would be doomed. "Get ready," the general said, rallying his troops. "This is our chance. We need to hit them before they regroup and come back stronger. We might be down, but we're not out." And so, as Earth's broken defenders prepared for their first strike, the tension grew. Every move had to be perfect. One mistake could cost them everything. The fate of the planet was in their hands, and they had no time to waste. They were about to take the fight to the invaders, and they would do whatever it took to win. The world was on edge as General Carter and his team finalized their plans. The underground resistance was growing stronger, but they still had little more than scraps of military technology and makeshift weapons. Their only advantage was the overwhelming will to survive, and the belief that, no matter the odds, Earth could fight back. The aliens had left the planet in ruins, but they had also underestimated humanity's ability to adapt. Across the world, resistance cells were coming together, coordinating with the few military leaders who remained, sharing intelligence and resources. Earth was wounded, but the fight was far from over. General Carter sat at a war table in a hidden command center, surrounded by his most trusted officers. The plan was risky, but it was the only shot they had. The alien forces had set up a massive command ship in orbit, far above Earth's atmosphere. If they could take it down, they could cripple the invaders' coordination and weaken their control over the surface. "It's a long shot," Carter said, staring at the holographic display of the alien fleet. "But if we can take down their command ship, it will throw them into chaos. We'll have a chance." One of the officers, Lieutenant Sanders, stepped forward. "We've been working on the new tech Dr. Turner gave us. We believe we can hack into their comms and create a temporary disruption in their defense systems. It won't last long, but it's our best chance to strike." Carter nodded, knowing the risks. "Once we make our move, there's no turning back. We'll be marked for the rest of the war. But if we can disrupt their command, we might just have a fighting chance." The countdown had begun. Across the world, resistance fighters were preparing for the operation. In the ruins of Paris, engineers were working tirelessly to rig explosives, while soldiers trained their sights on the skies. In Tokyo, the survivors were loading up vehicles with makeshift weapons. Rockets, EMPs, anything that could be used against the alien forces. The resistance was making every last effort to pull together, but they knew it was a long shot. Humanity's survival hung in the balance. "We've got one shot at this," said Captain Maria Lopez, who was leading the charge in New York. "If we don't take them down, we may not get another chance. The next attack could wipe us all out." Her team nodded, grim determination in their eyes. There was no second-guessing now. The fate of humanity had been sealed the moment the aliens bombarded Earth. Now it was time for payback. The skies above Earth were eerily quiet as the resistance fighters mobilized. They were about to take the fight to the invaders. The alien ships, high above, remained unaware of the attack brewing below. Their sensors were sharp, but humanity had learned to use the very technology the aliens had tried to destroy them with, hacking their systems and scrambling their defenses. Dr. Elena Turner's team had worked nonstop, developing a virus that would infect the alien communications network. Once it was deployed, the alien fleet would be thrown into disarray, giving Earth's resistance a fighting chance. It was a small window of opportunity, and they had to act fast. Carter's plan involved a diversion. A small, stealth team would infiltrate one of the alien supply ships and plant explosives on their central engines. Meanwhile, a larger group would launch a direct assault on the command ship, using the virus to disable its defense systems temporarily. If all went well, they would have just enough time to strike and escape before the aliens could retaliate. As the attack began, the resistance moved into position. A small group of soldiers, led by Sergeant Tom Reynolds, approached the alien supply ship in a high-tech, stolen craft. Their mission was clear: plant the explosives and get out. Their success was essential for the plan to work, but they knew the risks. If they were caught, they would be wiped out in an instant. Meanwhile, General Carter's forces began their assault on the command ship. It was a massive, imposing structure, bristling with alien weapons and shields. But the resistance had prepared. Using their newly developed tech, they jammed the alien defenses just enough to create a small hole in their security. The first wave of resistance fighters launched their attack, using everything they had: rocket launchers, heavy artillery, and whatever they could carry. The aliens on the ship reacted quickly, but their confusion was evident. They didn't expect humanity to come at them this fast. The sound of gunfire and explosions filled the air as the two sides clashed. Carter's team pushed forward, determined to reach the heart of the ship. Every inch of progress came at a cost, but their determination was unwavering. They knew they had only one chance to succeed. Back on Earth, Reynolds and his team planted the explosives on the alien supply ship. The countdown began. They had only minutes before the ship would be destroyed. The team retreated to their extraction point, their nerves frayed, their eyes constantly scanning the skies for any sign of alien retaliation. It was a race against time. As the countdown reached its final seconds, the resistance fighters made their final push. The alien defenses were starting to recover, and their retaliation would be swift. But it was too late. The explosives on the supply ship detonated, and the shockwave rocked the alien fleet. At the same time, Carter's team had breached the command ship's core, and their assault had dealt a devastating blow to the aliens' ability to communicate and coordinate. For a brief moment, Earth's forces had the upper hand. The alien fleet was in chaos, their command ship disabled. But the victory came at a high price. The resistance had lost many brave soldiers, and the aliens were regrouping, preparing for an even deadlier retaliation. The first strike had been successful, but it was only the beginning. Humanity had shown its strength, but the war was far from over. The aliens might have thought they could wipe Earth from existence, but humanity had proven that they would fight back, no matter the cost. The real battle had only just begun. The unexpected victory that humanity had achieved in the first strike was short-lived. The alien forces, though temporarily disoriented, quickly regrouped and began a counterattack that was more devastating than anyone could have imagined. The shattered command ship in orbit above Earth was not the only weapon the invaders had at their disposal. Now they were prepared for war in a way no one on Earth could have foreseen. The aliens' retaliation came in the form of an overwhelming wave of firepower. Hundreds of ships, more advanced than anything humanity had ever encountered, descended from the heavens like a storm. Their sleek, massive forms darkened the skies, blotting out the sun and casting a shadow of fear over the planet. As the alien fleet descended, humanity's forces had little time to celebrate their first victory. General Carter had barely begun to assess the damage when the ground trembled beneath their feet. Sirens blared across the globe, signaling that Earth was once again under siege. The resistance fighters were still reeling from their success, but they had no choice but to act quickly. They knew the aliens would strike back with everything they had. The enemy's ships were equipped with powerful weaponry that could vaporize entire cities with a single shot. Worse, their ground forces were unlike anything humanity had encountered, brutal, relentless, and capable of adapting to any form of resistance. General Carter sat in the command center, his mind racing as the communication lines buzzed with news from around the world. In New York, the skies were filled with alien warships. In Paris, entire districts had been leveled in minutes by orbital bombardments. Humanity's limited defenses were barely making a dent in the invaders' armor. "We have to hit them before they reach our cities," Carter said, his voice grave. "We can't afford to wait for them to come to us. We have to go on the offensive." His orders were clear: mobilize the forces and strike at the heart of the alien fleet. The resistance had learned from their first attack. Speed and surprise were their only advantages. If they could hit the invaders before they could set up their ground assaults, they might be able to even the odds. Across the world, resistance forces were scrambling to respond. In London, Captain Maria Lopes was organizing a counteroffensive with what little she had left. The remnants of her team had been hard at work, scavenging alien technology and modifying it for Earth's use. They had reverse-engineered a few of the invaders' weapons, but it was still unclear if they would be effective against the superior enemy forces. "Look, we don't have the luxury of time," Lopes said to her team as they gathered around a table covered in maps and schematics. "We need to hit them where it hurts. We have one shot to make this work." Her team nodded, determination burning in their eyes. They would do whatever it took to defend their home. At the same time, Lieutenant Sanders, who had been part of the team that launched the first strike on the command ship, was preparing for his next mission. The aliens had managed to restore communication and were now coordinating their forces more efficiently. Sanders knew that humanity's only hope lay in the element of surprise. "Target their weak points," Sanders ordered. "They've underestimated us before, and we need to make sure they do it again." Back in the heart of the alien fleet, the invaders were preparing for an all-out assault. Their warships, each one capable of obliterating entire countries in a matter of minutes, positioned themselves in formation around Earth. It was a show of dominance, a reminder that no matter what humanity had done, they were still outmatched. But what the aliens didn't anticipate was how quickly humanity would adapt. As their ships began to fire, resistance forces across the globe launched a coordinated strike. The first wave of attacks were desperate but fierce, utilizing Earth's best weapons, modified with salvaged alien tech. Over Paris, a fleet of resistance fighters led by Captain Lopes took to the skies. They launched missiles at the alien ships, hoping to damage their shields enough to make a dent. The air was filled with the sound of explosions, the deafening roar of rockets, and the crackle of energy shields being tested to their limits. Though the aliens retaliated quickly, it was clear they had underestimated humanity's resolve. For a brief moment, the alien fleet hesitated. It was an opening. "We can do this," Lopes shouted to her team. "Hold your ground. We're not backing down." But the aliens were not easily deterred. The moment their fleet reoriented and began firing at the resistance fighters, a new wave of terror washed over the battlefield. Their weapons unleashed a barrage of lasers, instantly vaporizing anything in their path. Entire cities were obliterated with the press of a button, leaving nothing but smoldering ruins behind. Earth's resistance was pushed to the brink. Despite their best efforts, the firepower of the alien fleet was overwhelming. The sheer scale of the destruction was unlike anything humanity had ever seen before. But the survivors fought on, unwilling to surrender, unwilling to let their world fall into the hands of the invaders. In the midst of the chaos, General Carter had a realization. If they continued to fight this war with only conventional tactics, humanity would lose. The aliens were too powerful, their technology far beyond anything Earth could build. It was time to change the rules of the game. "We need something they don't expect," Carter said, his voice steely with determination. "We're going to strike at their source, their homeworld. If we take the fight to them, they'll realize Earth is not the easy target they thought it was." His decision was met with shock and disbelief. Striking at the alien homeworld was no small task. It would require unprecedented resources, a massive fleet, and an unrelenting commitment to victory. But Carter knew there was no other way. Humanity had shown it could hold its own. But to win, they would need to take the war to the heart of the invaders. The war had taken a toll on Earth. Cities lay in ruins, and the remnants of the once mighty human armies were scattered and demoralized. Yet, despite the overwhelming losses and the advanced technology of the invaders, humanity had not surrendered. They had only one thing left: resolve. The will to fight was stronger than ever. General Carter knew that Earth's survival depended on taking the fight to the aliens. The moment of hesitation in their ranks was a rare weakness, and humanity had to exploit it while they could. However, this would not be an easy task. The alien fleet was still vast, and their weapons, though devastating, could be defeated if Earth was clever enough. "We can't win this with brute force," Carter muttered to himself, pacing back and forth in the command center. "We need to get inside their heads. We need to make them question their victory." The plan was simple but dangerous. Infiltrate the heart of the alien fleet and sabotage their command structures. A small, highly skilled strike team would break through the alien defense systems, slip into the heart of their massive motherships, and destroy their control hubs. It was a long shot, but it was humanity's only hope. Lieutenant Sanders was chosen to lead the operation. He was no stranger to high-risk missions, and his leadership had earned him the trust of the best soldiers humanity had to offer. The team he assembled was composed of Earth's finest, specialists in stealth, sabotage, and combat. Together, they were going to carry out an impossible mission: to infiltrate the alien flagship and dismantle their command structure from the inside. "This is our chance," Sanders told his team as they gathered in the briefing room. "If we succeed, we disrupt their entire war effort. We'll send a message to every alien fleet out there. Earth is not to be underestimated." He could see the determination in their eyes. The team understood the risks, but they were driven by something greater than fear: pride. They weren't just fighting for survival. They were fighting for revenge, for the future of humanity, and for the chance to show the invaders that Earth was not a planet to be bullied. The team embarked on their mission under the cover of darkness. Using the remnants of the alien technology that had been reverse-engineered, they had developed a specialized cloaking device that would allow them to slip past the enemy's detection systems. Their target was a massive alien mothership, a beast of technology and power, resting in low orbit above Earth. It was the centerpiece of the invaders' fleet, and its destruction would cripple their forces. As they neared the mothership, the silence in their ship was deafening. Each member of the team knew the gravity of the mission. Any mistake could mean the end of their lives, and the end of humanity's fight for survival. They held their breath as they prepared to breach the alien ship's defenses. It was time to prove that humanity was far from helpless. As they approached the mothership, the cloaking device worked perfectly, allowing them to slip undetected through the vast defenses surrounding the flagship. The alien ships, busy in their own battles and regrouping efforts, had no idea that a small human strike team had snuck inside their most secure vessel. The team's first task was to disable the outer defenses. The alien ships were equipped with powerful weapons that could obliterate anything in their path, but there was a weakness. Their energy shields had to be calibrated from inside the ship. By sneaking past patrols and placing small EMP charges on the ship's vital components, the team was able to render the shields temporarily useless. "Shields are down," whispered Sergeant Kim, the team's expert in electronic warfare. "Now or never." The team moved quickly, navigating through narrow, dimly lit corridors that twisted and turned within the heart of the alien vessel. The ship's layout was a maze, designed to confuse and disorient intruders. But the team was well trained, and they knew exactly where they needed to go: the command center. When they reached their destination, they were met with a daunting sight. The command center was heavily guarded by elite alien soldiers, beasts of war, towering in size and strength. They were the alien force's most advanced warriors, bred for combat and loyalty. The team's chances of getting through alive were slim, but they had no choice. This was the only chance they had to strike a blow to the invaders' command structure. Lieutenant Sanders nodded to his team, signaling that it was time. They moved quickly, neutralizing the guards with precision and stealth. Each soldier took down their target quietly, without hesitation. They had practiced for this moment 1,000 times, and now it was real. Once the guards were dealt with, they entered the command center, where the alien leader's interface controls were located. It was here that the war was being orchestrated, where strategies were devised, and where every move of the alien fleet was coordinated. This was the heart of the enemy's power. "Now we do what we came here to do," Sanders said, his voice cold and resolute. They planted the charges around the central control hub, ensuring that when the explosives went off, the ship's command center would be completely destroyed. The countdown had begun. As the team began their retreat, the reality of their mission hit them. The explosives they had planted were set to detonate within minutes, and there was no time to waste. They made their way back to their ship, fighting their way through the alien corridors, evading more guards, and taking out anyone who stood in their way. But just as they reached the docking bay, the alarm sounded. The alien forces had discovered the breach. The time for stealth was over. The team sprinted for their ship, knowing that once the countdown reached 0, the alien flagship would be in flames. The door slammed shut behind them, and the ship's engines roared to life. They had completed their mission, but they still had to escape the alien fleet before the blast tore apart the mothership. The countdown was ticking. The countdown continued to echo in their ears, each second feeling longer than the last. The strike team's ship roared through the airlocks of the alien mothership as the countdown ticked down to its final moments. The entire vessel shook with the tension of impending destruction. Inside their ship, Lieutenant Sanders gripped the controls with white-knuckled fingers, sweat dripping down his face. His eyes flicked nervously to the timer ticking down on his dashboard. They were so close, but the alien forces were closing in. The mothership's alarms blared loudly, signaling the breach, and soon, every alien ship in the fleet would be in pursuit. If they didn't escape soon, the team wouldn't make it out alive. "Prepare for evasive maneuvers," Sanders barked. His voice was calm, but everyone could hear the edge of urgency behind it. Every decision now had to be precise. Every action had to be perfect. Their lives and the fate of humanity's future depended on it. The strike team's ship darted through the thick atmosphere of the mothership, avoiding the barrage of energy blasts that lit up the sky like thunderclaps. The alien ships fired relentlessly, but their efforts to hit the small human craft were futile. The ship's cloaking system had been reactivated, and now it was invisible to the alien sensors. But the cloaking system wouldn't hold forever. Sanders knew that. The further they traveled, the closer they got to the massive alien fleet. If they didn't make it past the last wave of alien ships, they would be surrounded. "We need to make it to the asteroid field," Sanders muttered, more to himself than to his team. "We can lose them in there." It was a risky maneuver, one that could cost them precious time or even their lives. But it was their only shot. The ship hurtled toward the asteroid field at breakneck speed. It was the only place they might lose the alien ships, but the dense field of rocks also posed a deadly hazard. A single wrong turn could send them crashing into the jagged stone, tearing the ship apart. "We're almost there," Sergeant Kim said, her voice tight with nerves. She kept her eyes on the radar, watching the incoming alien ships like hawks hunting their prey. They were getting closer, faster than expected. "Brace yourselves," Sanders ordered. The ship entered the asteroid field, the site of massive, rotating rocks filling the view screen. It was a maze of floating debris, sharp angles, and craters, perfect for hiding but dangerous to navigate. Sanders adjusted the controls, guiding the ship between the large asteroids at breakneck speed, narrowly avoiding collisions with the speeding rocks. Behind them, the alien fleet followed, not willing to give up the chase. Their ships fired as they approached, their blasts narrowly missing the human vessel. The tension in the air was unbearable. Sanders' heart pounded in his chest, but he didn't let it show. "Watch for the larger asteroids," Sanders warned his team. "We can't afford a mistake now." Just as the ship neared a particularly large asteroid, the team held their breath. It was a massive rock, spinning slowly in the void. If they didn't maneuver around it perfectly, the ship would be shattered. But just as they were about to pass the asteroid, an unexpected explosion ripped through the atmosphere of the mothership behind them. The explosion was deafening, shaking the very foundation of the massive ship. For a brief moment, everything was thrown into chaos. The team watched in stunned silence as the mothership began to break apart, its central command center exploding in a burst of light. The alien fleet, once so coordinated and formidable, now seemed disorganized, scattering in all directions. Sanders realized the unimaginable had happened. The sabotage worked. The alien fleet was in disarray. "That explosion. We did it," Sergeant Kim gasped, looking out at the chaos unfolding behind them. "We crippled their command." For a split second, the team allowed themselves to relax. Their mission had succeeded. They had taken down the heart of the alien fleet. But they didn't have time to celebrate. The remaining alien ships were still on their tail, and the asteroid field wasn't going to shield them forever. "Keep going," Sanders shouted. "We can't let them regroup." They navigated the ship further into the asteroid field, relying on their superior maneuvering skills to keep out of the aliens' reach. The strike team's ship dodged and weaved between the massive asteroids, the alien ships struggling to keep up. The remaining fleet tried to reorganize, but the damage done to their command center had left them scrambling. The battle was far from over, but the aliens were not prepared for what was coming next. Sanders knew the end was near for the invaders. Their once unified front had crumbled. Earth had struck the first blow, and now humanity was on the warpath. "That's it," Sanders said, his voice grim but filled with resolve. "We've got them on the run. We'll finish this." The team watched as the alien ships finally gave up the chase, unable to keep up with the humans' superior tactics. The human strike team had not only survived, but had dealt the aliens a blow that they would never recover from. They had exposed the aliens' vulnerability, and now humanity would press its advantage. But they knew this was only the beginning. The alien forces may have been driven back for now, but the war was far from over. Humanity had taken the first step toward victory, but there were still many battles ahead. Still, they had sent a message that Earth would never be conquered, no matter the odds. The alien fleet had retreated, but Earth's victory was far from guaranteed. The strike team, exhausted but victorious, knew that this was just the beginning. The invaders might have been forced into retreat for now, but they had seen what humanity was capable of, and they would return. The real test had only just begun. As the team gathered around the command console, their faces were a mix of exhaustion and determination. Sanders' hands gripped the console tightly, his mind racing. He knew the alien fleet had only been delayed, not destroyed. The war was far from over, and they needed to prepare for the inevitable return. "Now we need to act fast," Sanders said, his voice steady despite the chaos that swirled in his mind. "We can't wait for them to regroup. We need to take the fight to them before they can rebuild their forces." "You're right," Sergeant Kim said, her voice firm. "We've seen their weaknesses now. We strike before they get the chance to recover." The team quickly formulated a new plan. They would take the fight directly to the alien homeworld. This was humanity's best chance to cripple the invaders once and for all. If they could strike at the heart of the alien empire, they could end the war before it truly began. The journey to the alien homeworld was treacherous. The strike team's ship had been damaged during the last battle, and they had to be careful not to attract attention. They traveled in the shadows of space, staying out of the alien fleet's radar range as they moved closer to their target. Each passing moment felt like a lifetime. Every slight tremor in the ship made them jump. Every slight change in course felt like the difference between life and death. As they neared the alien planet, the tension among the team was palpable. Their mission was dangerous, perhaps even suicidal. But there was no turning back now. They had made their choice, and it was one they had to see through, no matter the cost. "We're close," Sanders muttered as he looked at the map of the alien system. "If we can just get through this final stretch, we'll have a shot at their main stronghold." Sergeant Kim checked the sensors, her eyes narrowing as she noticed something. "Something's off," she said, her voice tight. "We're being followed." The rest of the team turned to her, their expressions darkening. This wasn't unexpected, but it was still unsettling. The aliens were catching up, faster than they had anticipated. "They know we're here," Sanders said, his voice grim. "They must have been tracking us from the moment we broke through their defenses." The strike team's ship was suddenly rocked by a massive explosion. The force threw them all forward, and alarms blared as the ship's shields began to flicker. Sanders cursed under his breath, trying to regain control of the ship. "We're losing power," Kim shouted. "Get us to that asteroid field," Sanders ordered. "Now." With all the strength he could muster, Sanders slammed the control levers to one side, sending the ship into a sharp dive. The ship veered toward the asteroid field, using the floating rocks as a shield. But the alien ships were closing in fast. The battle was about to begin. As the team hid within the asteroid field, they took a brief moment to gather their thoughts. The ship was badly damaged, and their escape route was becoming narrower with each passing second. They couldn't stay here long, but they couldn't afford to face the full might of the alien fleet head-on, either. "We need to make a decision," Sanders said, his voice low and urgent. "We can't stay here. We need to take the fight to their homeworld now, while they're distracted." He turned to his team. "If we're going to do this, we need to stick together. This is the final fight. Everything we've worked for, everything we've sacrificed. It all comes down to this." Kim, the team's most experienced tactician, nodded. "We take out their command center. We strike fast, hit hard, and leave before they can retaliate." The team agreed. This was their only chance. The final battle was chaotic. The alien ships swarmed around them, firing blasts of energy at the human vessel. The asteroid field was their only advantage, but the rocks also made navigation difficult. Sanders had to rely on his instincts to dodge enemy fire while keeping the ship steady. "We're almost there," Sergeant Kim shouted as they neared the alien homeworld. As they neared the planet's orbit, the alien fleet's remaining ships launched their final assault. The team's ship swerved and dipped, narrowly avoiding the incoming fire. But they could see the alien command center in the distance, their final target. "Now," Sanders shouted, "we hit them with everything we've got." The team launched their remaining weapons, sending a barrage of missiles and energy blasts toward the alien command center. The explosions lit up the sky, and the alien ships scrambled in a desperate attempt to defend their homeworld. For a moment, the battlefield fell silent. Then the ground shook. A massive explosion rocked the alien planet, sending shockwaves across the surface. The team's ship trembled under the force, but they knew it had worked. The alien command center had been destroyed. The remaining alien ships scattered, retreating from the human assault. The strike team had done it. The war was over. As the alien ships disappeared into the void, the team took a moment to breathe. They had won. They had defeated the invaders and destroyed the heart of their empire. But Sanders knew this wasn't just a victory for Earth. It was a victory for humanity as a whole. Earth had shown the galaxy that no one, not even the mightiest of invaders, could crush the will of humanity. "We did it," Sergeant Kim said softly, her voice filled with disbelief. "We really did it." Sanders nodded, his heart heavy with the weight of everything they had been through. "We didn't just fight for Earth. We fought for everyone." The strike team turned their ship toward home, knowing that their victory would echo throughout the galaxy. Humanity had proven that no matter how tough the odds were, they would always strike back. Always.